No.
In 1 second. Sorry, it's a minute.
Sorry, so the tree commission meets before us. And it used to meet from 4:30 till 6, or 3:30 to 4:30, now, anyway, so now they've been meeting from 5 to 6.
All right, so we are good. I'm going to start
So
recording.
it's taking them more time to, okay, I'm gonna bring the meeting to order at 6:15. And we have Emily Hauser, Kevin, Anita, Malia Dumont, and Brianna Gary. Okay, so, and we will welcome Tanya Garment and Anthony. As guests, are there any, do we do public comment now?
Yep.
Okay, any public comment?
A few things. You may have heard me, complimenting Anthony Fitzpatrick's comment. At the comment level, there was, the issue that night was, traffic safety. They'll be discussing it more this month. And a lot of the comments, centered around the experience of pedestrian and bicyclists on the roads as they are. There was a comment also by, Addie Smock about it disincentivizes people getting on bicycles, the state of when the roads are dangerous. So the Common Council this month at Public Safety General Government is going to be discussing that more. It started off as a resolution to support the mayor's executive order about the safe systems approach. I think they want to go a little further with it. And also incorporate a plan for the future on how to implement it. And then I also wanted to mention a couple of things, or the other things. One was Pettit Avenue is not going to be at the planning board this month, but I think that it's a really important project to watch particularly because of the 10.6 acres of Lawton Wood that's right behind it. And it also highlights a problem that's been going on with the planning department not having a full site plan that they have certified before it goes to the planning board. This was one where was missing a lot of information. One very important one was you're supposed to have a site plan superimposed on an aerial view before it even goes to the planning board, and it went there without it. So I think a lot of people didn't even realize that they're proposing to build on what the form-based code identifies as Pettit Avenue. And it also brings up the topic of important connectors and thinking ahead, and the planning department has a part on it about buying paper streets, but does the city have anything where we're looking at streets that are paper streets that might not be owned by the city that we should be thinking about buying because they're important connectors?
So you like connectors, you mean people connectors, not wildlife connectors?
Oh, yes, people connectors, connectivity for walking, bicycling, and vehicular traffic. It's important for vehicular traffic because then if you don't have enough connectors, then your roads end up wanting to do, what has happened historically since the mid-century is the roads get widened and you want to have a lot of places for cars to go so that the congestion doesn't build up and there isn't that pressure to gear it more towards the cars. The impact of the cars is less and dispersed. Is there something else? Oh, I got appointed to the planning task force. So that's a 4-member
Zoning or planning?
zoning task force. So this is the 4 members appointed by the Common Council to look at the zoning code, it's a look back, like a 6-month look back, to see if there are any tweaks. I hear that that there might be some suggestions coming from, I don't know if it's coming from the administration or if it's coming from the Common Councils, but the staff support's going to be Bartek, Starjai, because he's still the point person for the form-based code, and then Suzanne Cahill.
And who are the other 4?
It is the director of, the guy who took over for Tim Wiedemann in the county. He's the economic guy for the county.
Oh, okay.
And then an architect who's based out of New York. I think she's been building some cottages out here. I don't know if haven't met anybody. They just started scheduling yesterday. And a woman who is pretty jazzed about the form-based code, is particularly ADUs. She's on the housing task force, and she moved here during COVID. Her son was in Bard, but she's got something that's some kind of like support for developers, and that's something along the lines of like, I think it's centered along like from a lens of smart growth or new urbanism. Their names are, well, that's Rebecca Holderness, who's on the housing task force as well. Inez Yapanque, the architect, and Joshua Stratton Rayner is the guy from the county. There's 4 of us.
Thank you. Wow, so you're going to be busy. Do you have a deadline?
The county council is deciding about that actually this month, like what increments of review that should be.
Great. So Anthony, thank you for speaking in the Common Council. I know people get nervous about that. And I attended the public safety meeting and at the end of February, and that the whole thing, the whole safe streets, dangerous roads, whatever was on the agenda at that time, and I think they are continuing with the conversation. And I didn't stay for the conversation. So. Okay.
The caucus, they had a robust discussion about it. It continued into caucus.
Okay. So modifications to the agenda. I just wanted to kind of bring up some updates, but I think I can pull them into the other. The other whatever the planning board projects maybe is, I wanted to talk about Golden Hill, just as kind of what's happening there. Anyway, okay. In terms of membership update, we don't have any membership update though. Julie and I just ran into one of the environmental teachers at Kingston High and kind of pitched the CAC to him. What's his name?
Jason Prizzy,
Chrissy.
PRIZZ.
So,
And our understanding is that Anita will be resigning
yeah,
because of residency requirements.
yeah, she's going to be resigning, but because she's moving to New Falls, but she hasn't resigned. Okay, so let me see. Review and approval of February 2024 monthly meeting minutes. So I sent mine in.
I'm sorry. I think, Malia, the M in your that last name is capitalized, is that true?
Yes,
Okay, so the M in
Oh.
Dumont needs to be
Oh,
capitalized.
okay.
I usually do a space between do, I mean.
Okay, we can do that too.
Okay.
Oh, you do?
Just
Yeah,
Okay, but
we'll
that's.
straighten that out.
Thank you for that, yeah, and,
and not all my credit cards will allow that to be the case.
No, but our monthly minutes.
it's not your.
Raise, the grant rate, the word raise is an acronym, so it should be capitalized. Under 3A, 5, 3.
And
And then my other one was number 5, 7, where you talk about building rules.
I missed.
Oh, raise.
Yeah, where is that?
Raise is under section 5, number 3, city plan review. 5? Yeah, 5. All
It's
business,
not capitalized?
under A, downtown raise grant, where it's bolded. You see that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. I was looking at the next line. It's like, gee, it looks. Yeah. Okay, got it.
And under the helium balloon section, which is number
Yeah.
7, where it says concerning helium balloons, I would just articulate concerning the prohibition of releasing balloons. Because it's not just helium balloons.
Okay. And I have your comments.
Yeah. Thank you. I did want to bring up two things in here so we could clarify them. There used to be a park in Kingston called Lawton Park. It is owned by other people. Tanya just called it Lawton Woods. And so you can't just, anyway, so it's not a Kingston Park anymore. So we were trying to think of the adjective to describe it as former abandoned or deacquisitioned, and I couldn't,
The acquisition sounds very technical, as
Yeah.
it's been given away or.
Yeah.
which it wasn't, right?
Well, it kind of was abandoned by the city, and there was a reverter provision, and went back to its owner, but it did not go to the state legislature as far as I.
So if you deacquisition a park, you have to get approval from the entire state legislature. Yes,
Wow.
yeah, because they don't want towns just saying, oh yeah, let's make that into a development.
Hmm.
So it's not deacquisition.
I would go with former city
Former.
park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
choice.
So I
You don't
just,
have to worry about how that happened, it just
Yeah.
happened to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I didn't put a modifier in there.
Okay.
yeah, but I
Like I
wanted
was
to
saying,
modify.
it's gonna be like one of those towns in Illinois.
And, yeah, and then the other one was the, resolution 29, which increased the fines by $1,000 for cutting down trees without permission. I don't think that was a tree commission. I don't even know if the tree commission had anything to do with it.
That is part of the city's fee schedule. And so every year, the common council vote, I believe this was part of the fee schedule. Oh, wait, it was resolution 29 of 2024. It was its own resolution? Oh, then it was not part of the fee schedule.
And it came out of laws and rules, and Michelle Hirsch was, I don't know if she's the chair of that, but anyway, so anyway, I think it's okay under that, but I just want, I don't believe, I tried to look back at some of the agenda items, it didn't seem like the tree commission had anything to do with it. So, or
Was
maybe
that reported about at the tree commission meeting?
not this time. I mean, I missed part of the meeting. It's not on their agenda.
Then how did it come up during that section of the discussion?
Didn't, I was at the common council meeting and saw that. it-
Oh, you were
that
just
there was that
FYI?
resolution. Yeah, so it's a FYI. It's a really good thing. I think we should all know that. But I'm not sure where it should go in the minutes. So, or it doesn't have to even, but.
I mean,
No
it's
one
still
had,
under the reports and updates section, so it
Yeah.
could just be number 7.
okay,
If you don't want to attribute it to the tree commission discussion. you
that's a
could
good
just
idea.
say-
So, because none of us went to the tree commission meeting in February, so we could just say no report and then put in 7. Is that, you okay with that?
Yeah, sure, and we'll put no update on the previous one.
Mhm. Yeah.
Under the. Under climate smart, just above that, Melissa Iachetta. Not Iachetti.
Oh,
Oh, that's,
that was my fault, but I wanted to put her last name in. I know her very well. We've been doing a lot of misspelling of names in this, so,
yeah.
So does Sarah Shrestha, does she prefer to be called assembly person rather than assembly member? I've never heard that as a title before, assembly person.
oh, yeah, well, that's probably,
I think I did it.
Oh, okay.
it's a good
Yeah.
point.
Just to,
It's on page 2, numbers.
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
would really
that's,
say.
yeah, that was just to be,
Yeah.
if we had a request from assembly person or assembly member, however we want to phrase it.
I would say member.
I think
We want member?
that's their formal title, is assembly.
Okay, okay, we can do
That's great.
that. But.
So the reason we're kind of being picky about this is it's nice to go back and read these and go, oh, yeah, she remembered. Or whatever.
So number 7 under healing blooms.
Oh, under Helium.
Yeah, because the letter will go to our assembly and senator people. So, are you ready for us to approve as directed?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. And we have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected. Motion. Okay. So I did have, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I did want to know, once you kind of finalize these, what happens to them?
Go on the website,
Someone puts them on the website?
yeah.
So if I want to find them, I can go to the website.
So what happens from the official end of it is that when Kevin circulates the draft notes to all of you, unless there's something like super glaring, like that's really wrong, it's going to embarrass us, I put them up exactly as is, as a draft on the website. And it's listed as draft. And because he always puts on the top of here, like pending approval or something, or maybe sometimes it's subject to council approval, yeah.
Yeah.
And then once the council adopts them, Kevin will send me the final version, and I will then place the draft version with the final.
And is that under the CAC's website or is it on like the calendars?
Both. You could go back to 2008 or 2009 for minutes. And the judges.
Thank you. So that's how you can get the updated ones if you have them on your own computers. Okay. Old business, planning board, 365 Wall Street. So I sent you a couple of articles because I thought it might be nice to kind of look back and see what's been happening to some things that we reviewed. And so, and I also want to say that I subscribe to the Kingston Daily Freeman, so I copied this, but I do have a subscription. And they did pass the dispensary in Midtown, and it was reported in the Freeman, so they being the planning board. And yeah, I thought it was interesting to note that they plan to be open from 8 to midnight, 8 to midnight.
That was a concession down from 8 to 2 on weekends.
Wow.
And
And,
this is the one going into 365 Wall Street?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so that's pretty long hours. You know, only like mini marts are open that long,
How long is Stewart's open?
till 11, I think. Yeah. But they
It's
open.
well located, only a block from the only 24-hour diner in town, right?
Yes, so anyway, but I wanted to bring up some notes from this. I mean, I guess you can watch the film for the planning board if you wanted to know, but based on what the Freeman reported, they did do some concessions. And it seems like they tried to address comments in this article. The planning board tried to address comments based on this reporting on this article, which may not even be accurate, but anyway, we're hoping the reporter did a good job. And that was that they asked for 13 spots and they're only getting 10. The Cake Box across the street, which has been around for a long time, has 10 spots. They plan to have a huge 16 full-time and 3 part-time employees. So they're looking for part-time. Yeah. So they're
16 full-time jobs.
That's a lot, where will they park?
Well, that's the
Well, where are
point.
they gonna, I mean, even in the space isn't that big, where are they gonna fit in the?
Well, I guess
Well,
it's
if
16 at a
it's,
time.
if it's that many hours, though, they would spread it
Right,
out.
okay, but still,
Yeah,
it's like 8 in it.
and also, by the way, it was never clear where their garbage was gonna go, but maybe they're locking it up inside. It doesn't look like they had space for a dumpster. Anyway, and so that was one thing, and then, they also, they asked them to build a concrete sidewalk to the end of the property, and they, were satisfied with, they being the planning department, sorry, the unmarked asphalt. There's a fence on South Wall, like there's the buildings here and then there's a neighbor's fence. And they asked them to put a concrete sidewalk in there, but they decided they are gonna mark the asphalt and the sidewalk. But they're also encroaching on that sidewalk, so I didn't really understand how that was gonna work. But anyway, and then they made the point that Suzanne Cahill said that the project would not be a citywide precedent and that this waiver only applies to one project and it can't be transferred to other projects if the project changes ownership. 3 of the spots are technically on city right of way, so they have to pay a license annually for the ability to park there. And they also talked about parallel versus perpendicular parking. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that the perpendicular parking on South Wall was part of the encroachment. But it doesn't make sense what this article says.
I asked the planning board about the placement of the allowed spots that are on the public right of way. And Suzanne told me that, so the 2 that are angled parking, one of them is only a portion of it on the sidewalk. On the public right of way. So it would be 1 and a bit of 1 over there at the angled. And then the 3 that were gonna back out onto the street, those were eliminated. But they're going to have, and I was just,
Okay.
they're gonna have perpendicular to the curb, but not on the street, on the portion that has the curb. Between the curb and the side of the building is going to be parallel to the, is it called parallel parking? Yeah, parallel parking of 1 spot that will be that's specifically for handicapped.
Okay, yeah, so just not to beat the point. Here's the building. Here's the street. There used to be 3 angled parking like this that basically made everyone back up like that onto the street, going over the sidewalk and kind of hanging over the sidewalk. And so apparently they're putting some parallel parking in. I don't think I want to bring that parallel parking person, but anyway, so that was a concession, and they are, the Lucky Green Ladies will be able to we are putting some landscaping as it had been looked at. So anyway, I think, they kind of listened to us, and so I just wanted to bring it up, because sometimes we don't hear anything from the comments, and or we don't know how it went, so it's always good. So I'm just gonna cut in here and talk about Golden Hill. We commented on Golden Hill a long time ago. So Golden Hill there was a jail at Golden Hill, and a new jail was built across the street. So they tore the building down. And before they tore the building down, the county, I guess, went out to find someone that would build some low-income housing. And that's Penrose is the company. And we looked at the whole design and commented a lot on the design. Nothing has been built. The jail was torn down, I think, in 2022. And now the only news really is that that Family of Woodstock is going to use 48 units of the 100 and over 100 spot, 164. And they're also going to be part of the, there's going to be a management company and Family of Woodstock's going to be part of that management company. Don't quote me on this is all in the article. But also, the city of Kingston approved a pilot in lieu of taxes. So developers pay nearly $6 million in fees to the city, which is $3 million increase on the first proposed agreement. And then the other, some of the other article, another article is about how they've gotten a loan. No, I can't find all the pages, a loan for low-income housing, which will help them fund the project. And then there also is an agreement between the county, I believe, and Penrose to put up solar panels. And I can't, anyway, so when we had, they had always said they were going to put solar panels up. So anyway, it's progressing, but nothing's been done. But they're getting $1.6 million in matching grant through the DEC. So I just felt like we should try to, sometimes it's hard to find out what happens after the fact. So I thought I would bring that. Okay. Any questions on that? I sent you all these so you can read them. Thank you for that. With my own. Okay. So then, Kevin and I have barely read anything about this proposed project. That's the next thing on the agenda. Cut it, which I think has more 3 T's in it. So Kevin, do you want to have
Well, I think,
anything?
No, it's just on Google Maps, it's just 2 T's.
Oh. Thank you.
maybe, I'll have to check that out. Well, I think Tanya addressed it earlier in the public comment. I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to add something.
So it's
tabled at this
it's
time.
tabled, so we don't have a quick deadline. Right?
No, and I think it was, I have the planning board minutes. Page 13.
Oh, I did have one question while you're looking at it. It said that they're having less parking spots than they do have building. Is that what?
Yeah, Yeah.
So they're counting on some people not owning a vehicle.
It's kind of a weird spot to be, especially if they're not making a connect, I mean, they haven't identified any, the whole application was just a hot mess. They were talking about using the, like, they were mixing up open space with like Visual Vista, like they were saying that the Lawton Woods LLC's 10.6 acre could be part of their open space in a sense, and it was super disorganized, nothing made sense, and it was incomplete.
So,
But yes, it was less spots than units, which would be great a lot of places, but I don't know about there.
yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure it wasn't a typo or something. Okay. So 28 units, but 23 parking spots.
Yeah, I have the minutes to the planning board if you want.
Oh, in terms of,
Just in terms of these two projects, Pettit and the South Wall.
so I guess what I would like to discuss is what's relevant to the CAC, and if we should comment.
On Pettit. Well, here's the status first. They unanimously voted to table the application. Staff will reach out to the board for a site visit. A public hearing will be set for a future date, and the applicants are prepared to present additional information. And an informal referral to the Ulster County Planning Board will take place for initial comments.
Okay,
So I'm not sure what the informal referral is. I think that's because the application isn't complete at this time.
so it's more of a heads up that this is happening.
I actually wasn't able to focus on the actual, I watched the meeting, but during that I meant to go back to it. So I don't remember the exact discussion, but I see here that it says particularly important because of the traffic light installation taking place near this driveway entrance, which is the traffic light that's going in for Golden Hill. And Pettit Avenue Extension goes out right near there. Pettit Avenue Extension is the driveway through one of their parcels. Pettit Avenue is, anyway, yeah, so it's kind of, yeah. So maybe they're just limiting it to asking about possible traffic. Yeah.
Right, because it's a county road,
Yeah.
it's a state road.
And it's
State highway.
also Empire State Trail. So what about leaving there on a bicycle if there's not a light that acknowledges you coming out of there? That can be quite dangerous, trying to get across the street to the sidewalk too there.
Yeah. So anything else, Kevin?
It looks like traffic and impeding the trail possibly. And pedestrian initiatives trying to get from Golden Hill. Putting a light in, that should probably work. So it's not.
Yeah, those are kind
There was some discussion a long time ago, they were gonna have a connector to the Empire State Trail.
Through their woods, kind of a
Yeah.
weird informal
Yeah.
one for bicycles.
Yeah, I don't know if that ever
Was it-
happened.
It's a zigzag.
Yeah,
so is it? So just for your information, the trail that goes to New Paltz and is the Empire State Trail, and also has another name. It's on the road there because it couldn't go through Lawton Park because Lawton Park is not owned by the city anymore, right? And there was some other things, but that's why it's on the road. It's because they couldn't keep it off the road. But you can see where the railroad crossed 32, right where kind of near the parking area to get on that trail south of Golden Hill.
The Wallkill Valley Rail Trail.
Wallkill Valley, thank you. So they, the trail kind of goes through the parking lot or near the parking lot, then crosses the boulevard going north. And that's where they put it onto the street. Because they couldn't follow the rail area anymore. So is there anything to comment on the vicinity of Walking Wood?
Well, access to it,
Access.
yeah.
I also want to mention the Golden Hill also is the Jenny UCAT hub. So
Yeah,
being
Right.
able to get from that neighborhood over across that traffic light would be important, and also a connection would be really good to be able to have in Lawton. I mean, Pettit Avenue between the neighborhood back there, Klingberg Avenue, South Washington Avenue area to get over to the bus stop.
Yeah.
You want to bring that up?
I'm having internet issues. I'm not even currently logged into the meeting. It seems to be still live and recording, but
But you can't project.
no, but Kevin could join the meeting and project something.
Oh gee, I don't.
Kevin Kingston. I'm literally not even logged into the meeting.
No, all I have open is a map of the parcel view of the Lawton Wood property. And showing how you could get access without using this Pettit Avenue area.
Okay. I don't
It
think,
presents a few issues. You're going
Yeah.
through.
It's kind of steep there too.
Yes.
yeah, so that was the other.
Well,
one.
It's like mainly a hillside.
once you get into the former park, yes. I'm not so sure about Pettit Avenue or Klingberg.
How do I log in?
Yeah, I just realized I don't know the password for the.
It's in the, meeting. Invite.
She wants the password.
It's in
To
your
go for the
meeting.
Wi-Fi.
Oh, City Hall
She-
2001.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
that was recorded.
It's an easy one. Logging onto Zoom City Hall. Pass on.
I can't get it. I literally can't get it.
So where is it? Is it on the minutes or on the agenda?
If you go to your calendar invite, on your calendar, it's in there. Oh, no, it's actually right here too. Oh, look at that. This is the ID and that's the password I wrote it down. All right, but I just got in. But my computer is very weird.
I don't
so-
know. Interesting. Sorry.
All right, what do you want me to be sharing? I can attempt to.
Oh, so we can just.
Just a map?
Okay, yeah, okay. And while you're doing that, I just wanted to say that we have, the CAC has a checklist for sustainability that when there's a kind of a large development like this, like we did it for, we have people go through, or we go through it and kind of answer it based on what we've read about the development, about the proposed project, like whether it has like water saving features, handles the stormwater, those kind of things. And there's not enough information to do that now, but we've done it for the Rupco project,
Landmark place.
Landmark Place. You know, so we do that and, you know, based on what we do and make suggestions. We've also, I think, done it for the development that would be North Front and the Kingston. I'll come up with words. Anyway, we've done it, so, because, and it can be interior and exterior stuff, so is the landscaping, you know, appropriate and stuff.
The chance of me bringing up a map is slim to none.
Okay.
I keep getting kicked out and getting brought back in.
Okay.
Google Maps is loading, I don't know what's going
All
on. Are you
right,
having internet issues?
No,
well,
Yeah, I can't bring up a map.
all right, I can bring it up,
there's not too
you
much
guys
to
can
look
kind of
at.
look at it.
I
And then
mean, I've got it on my.
Oh, you have
Yeah.
it on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so Brianna can look at mine, and anyone else who wants to just look over our folders.
We're looking at Lawton Park. Or Pettit Avenue?
Yeah.
If you're on the parcel viewer, you can do a search for Lawton Wood
Are
and
you familiar with the parcel viewer?
No.
Okay, well, it's a nice thing to know, so I'll teach you right now. If you look up Google Ulster County Parcel Viewer, I've never used it on my phone.
Oh, look at this.
there you go.
Wow.
There's so many interesting things you can learn from the parcel viewer, because it has aerials and it has aerials.
This is owned by somebody in Texas, or I guess some corporate owner in Texas.
So in the vicinity, there's an owner from Texas. Not competitive though.
Oh, okay, this is, yeah.
I think it's the-
So
Yeah.
it's coming up as PETTIT on the parcel viewers.
Okay, you're right, but on Google Maps, it's just PETIT.
So you can only find it by spelling it right on this, or you can just. So then once you go to the parcel viewer, you put in your name, or you put in or the address or something, and you can then click on the parcel, and it'll bring you to the area.
And there's that nice icon that's that tan map on the top right. If you press that, it puts you in the mode that you can select different parcels and that.
Yeah, so you can see that. Can you see?
Yeah.
So this, if you click on this parcel here, why isn't it looking at me? Lawton Wood LLC. Is that the major one?
The big one, yeah.
Yeah, they're the major landowner for Lawton Park, that's Lawton Park. And then all the green ones are on Pettit Avenue.
This is the big 10.6 acre one, and this is theirs, and this one. And they say that they own this part.
Right, yeah, I remember that from last month.
Yeah. And anyway, and then if you had to put your site plan over an aerial photo, the Ulster County Parcel Bureau provides aerial photos. A bunch of different aerial photos. Okay. So now I can visualize it again. And right now, it's just that they would be building on Pettit Avenue. On top of it.
Yeah, not squarely, but part of their building would go, the frontage would go over it.
So what's their address gonna be?
I don't, well, the way that the planning board's been listing their addresses, just the two parcels that have parcel numbers on Pettit Avenue.
I'm sorry.
140, 150 Boulevard and 66-92 Pettit Avenue.
And you're saying that Pettit Avenue Extension is what actually comes out onto the boulevard?
Yeah, and the end of Pettit Avenue is being used, but as parking by the parcel that's Oscar Molina, I think, owns. His parking on the side is what Pettit Avenue. There's a little bit of an infringement. Anyway,
Right.
it's not used for anything, but it was.
What about, there's no wetlands or anything like that? This is, all right.
There.
So what's the company that's applying?
Art
Ventures?
Ventures Corporation.
No. Okay. All right. So do we want to take any action now? I mean, like, do we want to write a letter and do we have to have it done beforehand?
Well, the comments, what would they be? Just about accessibility?
Well, that's what I'm worried about, because other than that, we should just wait till they
Yeah.
present.
It seems like until we know more about, like, what they plan to do,
Mhm.
and we don't have a lot to.
Do they have any buildings on the site yet?
No.
Yeah.
There was at one point a building that was dilapidated that was taken down, the previous owners took it down.
Does the site plan show where the buildings are gonna be?
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's 4 buildings, close together that could be, yeah.
and is there any stormwater? Is that too early for like rain garden, stormwater?
Um,
Oh, you know, I looked at this today.
their open space was a little playground, but it was like, it was, so many things contradicted and we weren't accurate the way that they were spelling them out or interpreting the code, that it's hard to even sort of summarize it. One thing, they have the building fronting the paper street of Pettit Avenue and going over the paper street of Pettit Avenue, but it's supposed to face the, if they're doing what they're saying they want to do and considering all the parcels, they should be facing the boulevard. Lots of weird questions that are left open because of the way that,
And who owns Pettit?
but they, so
They
this,
own it?
their deed has Pettit Avenue listed on a page that just talks about it. And the previous deed did too, but the deed before that
Oh.
didn't. So I haven't had a chance to go searching deeds. One idea, and I want to look at Lawton Woods history and do they list Pettit Avenue? And there was a neighbor who lives on Boulevard who said he remembers when it was a through street all the way through to Glenbrook area. I don't know.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you some background. Because of Tanya, mentioned open space. And Kevin and Tanya probably know the language more, but in the new zoning code, if there's a large enough parcel, they have to provide some space that is not paved. And we actually went back and forth with them to define the term open space so that it wasn't conflicting with the city of Kingston open space plan and how we define open space. Because it's basically a green area in the development. If you have X amount of units, you have to have this green area. But we didn't really want them to call it open space, so we decided on another term. I can't remember, but anyway, but it was a really nice compromise. At the end, there was also this back and forth of whether or not anyone could use this green space or if it would only be to a resident. But it's basically saying you can't really build up to the park. You've got to have some green in there. And so that's what we're talking about when we use the term. So, yeah, I'm okay with just kind of doing more and thinking about it and maybe drafting some
Yeah,
comments between now and then.
it can be a little bit of a quandary sometimes, because if they don't publish the minutes time, I mean, the minutes, the agenda
Agenda.
finally.
Mhm.
Our meeting comes and goes before their meeting, and then, there's a lapse and
We
can't
miss
make
it.
comments.
Yeah.
So,
But it's tabled for next week.
Yeah, and we don't know if it'll be on the next month or not. They're, yeah.
And then we would have, what, 1 week? We have from our meeting Tuesday till Friday to come. That's why it's good to have some talking points.
Yeah, got it.
And I don't know if it's feasible enough, but we could also have craft a standing motion for situations like this.
I was just gonna ask about it, like,
Yeah.
since I'm sure, I mean, every parcel is different, but I'm sure there are commonalities between a lot, like you find yourself bringing up the same points over and over again. They would have received similar letters from this commission over the years, and that maybe there's just like a list of points that we think they should consider every time. Isn't that part of what they do? We're talking about the planning.
Yeah, they review the public comment, sure. Yeah.
So we could talk about walkability and stormwater management and
Yeah, it's a very small parcel though, if you look at it. I mean,
Right.
compared to Lawton Park or
Right.
Lawton Wood LLC, whatever. And
But it can fit 28 units. I mean, and they're getting a variance for height. They're going
But there's a question of maybe they'll just take the variance request or their waiver requests back. That I spoke to Kyla and she said they're considering whether they wanted, they're considering their application applicants. So whether they wanted to go for these waivers that they initially were requesting.
And then what, they would make it more, they would not have such tall building?
Well,
They would reduce the height?
yeah, so they would have to get a waiver for their height. That was another one that was weird. It was like they were starting to talk as though they were in a different transect because they're near a transect. They just, yeah.
What transect are they in?
I don't remember offhand. It's,
Okay.
yeah.
So the transect is defined in the zoning code maps. All right, well, I think if it's, I suggest that we read more about it and come up with some talking points that we can discuss at the April meeting. And leave it at that. The April meeting is like, because we've discussed some of the topics. And you make a good point about the elevation. It's really hard when you look at this map, it just looks flat and.
Yeah, the only reason is I drive on Wall Street all the time to go uptown, and it's a steep area.
Yeah. All righty, okay. So, we don't need a motion or anything on that, right? Okay, gas, wood, smoke, air quality subcommittee. I sent a letter out on the 4th, I think, or the 3rd or 4th of March, and I sent you all that letter. I also have a copy of it, and you needs to look at it. And I got a nice note back from Lindsay saying that she would talk to our operations people.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a nice note back from Lindsay that she would talk to her operations person, and I didn't hear back from anyone. Did anyone else hear from anyone or any other comments? Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything more we can do until, well, the only thing is, I think you were going to talk about the health X more or something that.
Yeah, I was hoping, I just didn't have time, and I didn't realize it was gonna be such a quick turnaround, but I wanted to include, statistics. I've seen this somewhere before, and it is like, that one of these puts out, like, if you're working with one of these all day long, then it's the equivalent of like breathing in 10 cars fumes or something like that. I mean, it's
health and
really,
safety.
yes, it's not just noise, it's like really just, and then the noise too, for the people who are operating it. Like, this is something the city should really be concerned about, as the people who are using these things are gonna have long-term health effects.
Yeah, and are they wearing their protection? Or PPE? So, yeah, so I think that's still, we could still work this out.
Okay, all right.
It's just as a note, and I was just advised from the mayor that if the CAC is going to send a letter directly to department heads, to also CC the mayor.
Okay, sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
Yeah. And I was gonna say that but I think it's very important, like the electric ones are so much quieter. And yeah, you've probably seen this similar statistic, like if you mow your lawn, I forget for how many 1 hour or something, it's like driving 500 miles in your car or some horrible statistic like that. Anyways, that's what I know I'm being recorded, so, okay. Great, next. And is there anything on wood smoke or anything, Julie? Zoning solar mapping tool, is anyone taking the class?
I haven't been able to.
Yeah.
So there is a rep from Climate Smart that's taking the course right now. And also, the county is asking each town to put together a report based on taking the course by June. Put a report together by June of solar site evaluations that have been done in each community. So I am working with Greg Borquist, who's on Climate Smart, who's taking the class, and Melissa Iachetta from Climate Smart, who was taking the course. And a couple others potentially, to put to, and we're gonna meet later this week, I believe. We're going to use the tool, How to Solar Now, Steve Hudson's How to Solar Now tool, to evaluate our potential sites for solar in the city, and then create a report outlining that information to provide to the county. The county is then going to pull all of that together to create one report on a county level of like, this is where all solar can go by the end of whatever period of time.
And is that with the idea, I think I've asked this question before, but is with that, with the idea of like giving that to economic development so that potential solar companies or building owners could think about it?
I don't know the answer to that yet. We haven't had our kickoff meeting of what and why, so we'll know more about that next month.
And Melissa Iachetta is a GIS specialist, and she's been doing these solar mapping trainings. Been manager of Green for a long time, so she's good. But so that's great that you're doing that. And then, but I also then, I think the overlap here is in the review of the form-based code, because we didn't include large solar.
Yep.
And this tool allows you to kind of see where, the tool allows you to see in a map form where you could put solar based on not going into wetlands, being near the grid, you know, and basically land use and land cover. So that seems like that would kind of tie into the form-based code changing. In the form-based code, they only covered small kind of homeowner type renewable energy, solar energy.
Yeah, residential level, not commercial.
Yeah, not commercial.
Yeah, so hopefully this report will help to provide some data and, you know, it will shine light on whether or not there are enough or any locations where there should be commercial, and understanding, then comparing what we evaluate based on the tool compared to would it even be possible based on our zoning. If it's not possible, then looking at can we modify the zoning to allow it to be possible.
To allow or not.
Right.
And so one of the concerns that we talked about in terms of this, but also with wetland protection preservation, is that kind of a lot of the open space that we have is in the Esopus floodplain. And it's it's a Transact called T3 natural, or
T1 or T2.
Yeah, there's one that's like open space, steep slopes,
Yeah.
and you really can't put anything there, but maybe a building that would be like something that would be owned by the city, and it would be like a visitor center, bathroom, or something like that. That's what I read, but there's another one that's, we read about this, anyway. And that area, there is a lot of the Esopus floodplain, but in that, it always says you need to protect, lists all these things, it lists wetlands.
Right.
But we haven't really defined wetlands, so I guess that in terms of protecting wetlands, we want to make sure that that also is covered.
Looks like the county parcel viewer has the
Oh, the small.
form-based code uploaded.
Oh,
to
cool.
there for Kingston.
Wow.
For the municipal zoning.
So those, so what are you looking
Just an overview.
at? Where's the Silver Creek?
Cypress Creek is over here.
That's 587.
Yeah, it's
So if you
587.
go up here, do they actually list the numbers? Oh, I can't read those. T2,
T2C.
where's that? I can't read it.
This is Ulster here.
Oh,
That's different zoning.
Sorry.
This is Kingston. Here's the creek.
Oh,
Right
right.
through there.
Yeah, so what's this?
Whose property?
I can't read it. I just
It
can't
it
see
just
it.
says T2C Conservation Limited,
Use. Okay.
limited use.
I think, anyway, that's the kind of thing. It's large enough parcels, but we don't want to destroy the landscape or the natural resources. So that's what we have to do.
You're over by Manor Lake, that's where that
Yeah,
is.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So anyway, so it seems like we just need to track this. Is there any action on any of this that we need to do?
Not right now.
Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, city plan review. Anything on from,
There's no updates on Ray's or Kingston Point Park right now. Both- Ray's is not even in contract yet, still, Kingston Point Park is still in the site reconnaissance stage, there's nothing to report. Kingston Organics, we just surpassed 20 tons collected.
woohoo,
Yes.
Yeah.
And 950 people registered, which is 434 families. And so that is great, super excited. And community preservation plan, I've been meeting regularly with folks on the land trust, and we've been developing a survey, public survey that's gonna go out to the public to gauge willingness to adopt a referendum for community preservation fund. So the land trust has engaged a professional polling company. And we'll be issuing a survey probably this month. I'm going to be meeting with the Common Council on March 20th, just to give the new council sort of a 101 on community preservation plan and fund. Not asking for any action at this point, but just a heads up that this is coming, they're going to see the survey, this is what's happening, polling constituents, so that they're all abreast of what's going on, and that later in the spring, we're gonna be going back to ask for them to adopt the 3 local laws to adopt the community preservation plan and establish the fund, or allow it to establish the fund to go to referendum to see if the community wants the fund or not. So, it's moving along, and Kevin, if you got anything else to add to that?
Just wondering a little bit about the timing at this point, so the language has to go before our laws and rules.
Not yet.
Or is that?
but we know that it's August.
August
There's
3rd.
an
is
August
the
deadline.
drop
If
date.
if the community preservation fund is going to be on the referendum, then the land trust or the city needs to get the language to the Board of Elections by August 3rd-ish.
Okay. So
Prior to that, the local laws, 3 local laws would need to be adopted by the Common Council. That process takes 2.5 months.
yeah,
So you'd be
yes.
backing up from that and then not being able to put the local laws together until you have the results of the survey. Because if the community comes back and says, no, we're not going to do this, we might consider. Or if the community says, we want this, we recommend this level of tax, 0.5% tax versus a 1.5% tax or 2% tax, whatever it is. Real estate transfer tax. That will impact what the language is for the referendum, which will impact the local laws. So I really need to get the local laws in front of the council in April or May. But we have to do the, land trust has to do the polling before that.
But can't you, are the laws drafted?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I thought the surveys really were gonna be out by now, kind of, and,
I think
sounds-
it's within days.
yeah, oh, good. And the, okay, because, I wanted to say, thank you so much for reviewing this, because, you just have to go backwards and figure it out. When I was at Public Safety in February, I told them about the Community Preservation Fund, and they all seemed interested and not aware of it. So,
That's why I'm justifying going for just a one-on-one session with them.
so are you going to the Common Council?
I'm going to laws and rules,
Lots of those, okay. And,
but only as an informational. I'm not
yeah,
presenting them any language. I'm not asking them to vote on anything. This is what the community preservation plan is and the fund. This is the strategy for the rest of the year. Any questions?
and that the laws and rules are 5 people on the Common Council, but everyone, all the Common Council people need to know so they can base their,
Yes.
so I can continue to talk to, public safety and so on.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and then, your role as, there probably is no role right now as a Common Council, but as a private citizen, you can always talk to your own multiple people. And the Kingston Land Trust is also asking for help for promotion and funds and things like that. So you can go to their website and see it as a private citizen. Okay, it's good. And so, and just remember, we already have I'm just trying to use the right words myself. So we have the preservation plan exists. What we're trying to get to is a fund that's funded through the transfer tax, community preservation fund. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, New York, anything on the HATS project in New York?
Not since last month, but they're closing the project down in June, so, I don't know if we want to take it off the agenda, because something will come between now and June.
Okay, great.
Take it off there, Jenny?
No,
Don't
not
take it
yet.
off.
No, we'll wait till June and see if they get the funding extended. The only thing in the January 2020 for updates was that they're still haven't had a lot to review.
You're still reading.
Yeah. These are the storm surge barriers, and, yeah, right. So it's,
I don't have anything on native plants, but I would bring up that I'm hoping that we're gonna be at the Earth Fair,
Oh, yes, I wanted to confirm whether or not it's happening.
whether or not, Brianna, you could help with plants of some sort.
Did CC do a planting last year?
Stacy, did we do a planting?
Did you do seedling
We
planting?
gave away seedlings.
Yeah.
You bought seedlings?
We got them donated from the Wi-Fi project.
Okay, but you get, so they were like little pots of, okay. Is that what, if the CAC is planning to be part of the Earth Fair again, someone needs to submit a application. And consider their application.
Can we do that? Okay. What's the date?
May 11th,
Okay,
from 11 to 5 at TR Gallo Park. The rain location is now Hutton Brickyards,
same day.
same day.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and Anita might come back with her bees. We might want to ask her, if she even, because Anita has a nice display of pinned bees. I don't know. I mean, specimens.
no longer alive.
Yeah.
When you said bring her bees, I imagine like
Oh, yeah.
a hive.
I love those hives like that, but, yeah. So is anyone else interested in tabling there, on that day, May 11th? I'm searching for mine. I might be able to do that. Is that Mother's Day weekend? No.
Yes.
Yes. So it's Saturday before Mother's Day?
Yes.
Okay. So Brianna, can you take the lead on that and find out how, thank you. Great. The legislation for, the release of Healing Blues, Brianna sent me the copy, and we already agreed that we could go ahead and send it out from last time, so I'll work on that and have a look at it, so. All right, anything more with that?
Nope.
Okay. And I kind of already, action on wetland preservation, I think I've already kind of covered that with this, solar mapping. And then we have not heard anything on the lower Soap Stream Management Plan comments that we put in. However, there was an article in the paper that the town supervisors had met, and there was an agreement. I don't remember what it was. Did anyone else recall reading that article?
I saw it and it seemed positive and exciting.
Mhm.
I don't think it went into very much detail about what the agreement is.
Yeah, maybe that's why it doesn't come to mind. But it was, yes, the town supervisors that have been meeting kind of regularly. And yeah, okay, so that's good. It's not the same as management. New business Route 28 asphalt material. Is it worth the CAC sending any kind of letter for air pollution, or do you think it's too much of a scope?
I thought that the comment closed, didn't
Oh,
it?
so it was, I don't know.
I
It might have extended
comments
it.
oh, really? I'm not sure about that. I
Yeah.
got them in whatever the original closing date was.
Okay,
And I did it for Kingston Land Trust.
right,
So I prepared the comments over there.
right.
And it was, a lot to do with air quality. But it's being
Right,
down.
yeah, you put it in the
Downwind.
minutes.
Do you want me to remove this from the agenda then?
Yeah,
The only update to that was Kathy Nolan asked the,
Kathy Nolan is a county legislator.
she asked that the town of Kingston reconsider the negative declaration, the secret that they had done a while back. These comments were on a permit at DEC. They were not planning board secret comments.
Your comments?
Right,
Oh,
right.
you commented to the
Yeah.
DEC?
Yeah,
Oh,
right. It was somebody, told you on the website where to send it.
I see.
So I think what we covered is within air quality, including formaldehyde, bicycling, recreation, suitability of putting a plant of this type within the Catskill Blue Line. But I think we're getting out of Pacific Kingston.
Well, again, unless it was down in the range.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But just for your information, when you go up 28, there's a big, huge mine on the right. And then right after that, there's a little parking area that kind of says, welcome to the Catskill Park. And that's what that is.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But that's what, I didn't realize that's what this is, but I've always wondered.
It is, they want it to be. Yeah, so they're cleaning it anyway, because it's already in line. Okay. Every time we have communications to local media on the agenda, and I don't know if we've ever talked about it.
No, we have not, but that was a suggestion of Helen's, wasn't it? Let me take it off. This was, the premise of this was that as opposed to having reactive or situational conditions in which something would go to the media, having some kind of proactive, like, communications with the meeting where we said, you know, this is what the city's working on, or this is what the CAC is working on, or, I think that's what the purpose of it was, but
Okay.
I just
No, you
keep putting
can
it on
keep
here, because I feel like
it's-
we've never talked about it.
Yeah, I thought it was more like a cautionary thing or something, so.
Oh, maybe, I don't,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean, because, I mean, we can just say right now that, you know, as a CAC member, you can't write a letter to the editor and say you're on the CAC unless we all agree that we can do that. You have to represent yourself. Like, if I go and talk to the common council, I don't say I'm, you know, the chair. I just say I'm a private citizen speaking on this topic. And they probably all know I'm on the chair, but I'm not representing the CAC. So it's just standard kind of, you know, not saying something for the CAC unless we all.
Do you want me to leave it on?
Yeah, let's give Helen a chance to come back with it. Because, yeah. And then is there open issue discussions, kind of like if anything else is coming up, or if you're interested in anything, like light pollution was brought up the last time. Any other topic? Okay. Communications,
No communications.
announcements and events. So the Earth Fair we already did. I can't give you no. Oh, I think we already know that the NISAC meeting is in Tug Hill. In September.
Yeah, I was gonna go over that during
Oh,
the
okay.
NISAC, but
Oh, I see, sorry. Okay, next, complete streets. Helen's not here. Planning board, anything more,
I
Kevin?
think we covered that.
There's no new things coming up.
yeah.
Public safety, I already covered it. I talked about, I thanked them for passing, the resolution about $1,000 more fine for the trees. I thanked you for that. I told them about the, community preservation fund. Mentioned membership again. And that's about it. I think yeah. That's all I'm covering.
And now that I think about it, sorry, there was a communication that is actually relevant to the CAC. From a constituent who, I'm trying to find it now, but I'll try to summarize that. Yes, they said after being a Kingston resident for the past 14 months, they are rather shocked by the amount of unoccupied idling vehicles they see all over Kingston. I know these habits are ingrained, particularly in winter. And what I also know is that many myths surround warming up a car in winter and summer. The problem is exacerbated by remote starters. For example, several neighbors fire up their cars for 10 to 20 minutes before emerging from the house. Even more egregious is the amount of cars left running while a quick errand is done at Stewart's or Hannaford. Never mind the drive-through culture. City vehicles are a problem as well. I've seen large diesels idling while a worker goes and gets a sandwich. What is lacking is education. 4 pounds of CO2 are emitted for every hour of idling. 15 minutes puts a pound of CO2 in our air. Never mind the rest of the pollutants. In light of a non-winter, continued problems with flooding on the Strand, etc., it would behoove the city to ban idling altogether. As a former mechanic, I know the myths persist despite all evidence to the contrary, blah, blah, blah. Do it like myth busting, about myth busting. I know Kingston faces many challenges over this particulate issue affects everyone regardless of demographic. I urge the city of Kingston to embark on an educational program to curb this selfish, harmful, and wasteful habit. To which I sent a reply that said, we do have legislation, we passed it, we put up all these signs. You know, there can be fines attached to it. And they wrote back again and basically said, that's not enough. So I said I would bring it to the CAC and Climate Smart. I actually think that there's been, I mean, I like the campaign that we did, but they feel like this person feels as though we need to be doing more. I just wanted to put it out there. Since the CAC
It's hard
was,
to like. How can you like manage that? How would you know? Like, you know, how do you enforce that? No idea.
Well, there's. I
it
don't
is an
know that.
enforceable offense.
It's, yes.
So we did pass legislation, in 22, perhaps, that, so the state has a, anti-idling legislation, and we passed a more stringent one here. And there is legislation on the books that allows fining for it.
You have to have like policemen out who would witness it happening.
Yes, or somebody reporting it.
Mhm.
I'm not sure any tickets have been written to date. But there's signs up all over, so at the very least, there's permanent road signs. At least 20 of them around the city reminding folks.
So, yeah, so there could be some educational things that we could do. And maybe we could take them on, along with Climate Smart or something, but I just want to say that it's my understanding that if you leave a car unoccupied running, that is not idling. That's a nuisance, because any child or anyone else can get in that car and drive. And that is something that is nothing but air pollution. It's just dangerous.
There were two, when you brought it to the common council, there were two common council members who anecdotally talked about situations about leaving their car that they wanted to be able to continue to do. One, working with clients at their houses in the winter and the summer, they didn't know if they'd be in for a long time or a short time, so they wanted to be able to get back to their car and not have to turn it off every time. The other one, picking up their kids and grandkids from George Washington School because there's no parking allowed, actually out loud said, what we do is we park our car in the no parking zone, but we leave it running when we go in so that it's not as illegal.
So that 100 kids could jump in their car and
Yeah.
drive away? Yeah. So, I'm sure, and the common council changed the law to lengthen the amount of time that you can idle it, so it's quite long. It's not a minute, it's 10 minutes. So we could go back and ask them to change the law to 1 minute. We could, but another.
I actually did, sorry, I found that follow-up email because I clicked on what I needed to click on. I also had told this person about the, 2021 is when we passed the anti-idling legislation. I told them about the air quality initiative we have going on with CARD. And they said, I am aware of these efforts, which doesn't make sense to me because in the first email they said you should pass a law. But anyway, they said your efforts have not worked. Something along the lines of an official mailer of bullet points breaking down the myths of idling/car warming up, along with an addendum citing the city ordinances might have a chance.
Can I ask a question? What about that, the traffic safety campaign on Broadway? They were giving out, the police were giving out those warnings. Could there be something like that? And that they have put on the dashboards or?
Like, are there
I think
certain,
they'd catch people, it wouldn't be dashboards.
Yeah.
right, like, so are there certain places around town where people, like George Washington School?
There are, and we identified those places and put up signs. So for instance, on Andrew Street, what's that?
Post office.
Yeah, on Andrew Street, there's a whole row of cars that park waiting for their kids to pick up their kids from school. And we put a sign right there. We put it
Well-
by like Monkey Joe's. where
Yeah,
people
so I
run
wasn't
in
gonna
and
say
grab a
sign,
Yeah.
because the signs are there. How about, like, starting to just hand out fines?
Right.
Like, certain times of day we know it's gonna happen and just, you know,
Sure.
Kingston police would like to make some fine money maybe.
I will recommend it again and push it for it. I mean,
Do we,
it's a tough one because they have to
And-
stand there for 10 minutes, right? So they're gonna stand there for 10 minutes to see if the person is idling or not. I mean, at this point.
Yeah, or you could.
Or you
they
could
could
go
just
along
walk-
and say, if you're here for more than 10 minutes, you're gonna get this ticket for however many dollars.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they just being there and encouraging them to turn off their car. The other campaigns that we could do is we could write all the stewards and and Voices Dairy and everywhere else that people go in and just say, we want to let you know that, can you put up a sign or something that says, please turn off your car?
Yeah.
And that would be.
Yeah, like a
Yes,
nice
yeah.
little sign, like be friendly to the air or
Yeah,
whatever.
to go to, I mean.
And then the other one would be get the environmental students at the high school to go out and talk to their parents.
Right.
While they're parked.
I also
Yeah.
like the idea of the little mailer, like slips or something, about the guy who just like backs it up.
Yeah, the mailer though I like the idea of the mailer, but mailing it is difficult. And you're really looking at people that are not residents. I mean, who would we mail it to, but we could get it. Has anyone ever tried to address this situation?
Meaning confront somebody.
Yes.
I've been fantasizing about printing out the legislation for that and also on parking on the sidewalks and just figuring out a way to put it on people's dashboards without them seeing.
I would get into somebody's car if they find, I'm just gonna I'm gonna change their parking spot. I'm gonna move it like across the street and leave a little note inside, like, you left your car.
So there's two things. So first of all, I have, and the police, but what I did was, it was a water department employee and I just called their boss up afterwards. I don't believe, I might have spoken to them directly and it was at Voices Dairy. But I just called their boss and I said, you're a city employee and you're wasting our own gas and there's a lot. And I've also spoken to bus drivers. I think what they do is to deliver the high school and they're waiting to go get their elementary school kids. And they park up behind Burger King.
There is an exception for people carrying
Karen,
cargo, which can include people.
yeah, but they were empty. They're waiting. Yeah. They're empty. They're not. Anyway, and the same thing, I mean, the George Washington parent, I'm sure there's a lot of other parents that would like them to turn.
And I'm sure it happens at all schools.
Yeah, I didn't mean just George Washington. So that's the elementary. So the question is, do we want to take this up? As opposed to climate smart?
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
Because
It could be a
it's,
climate smart initiative too.
yeah, and we could do it together. And then, the police had two things. They had the driving the car away because it's a nuisance and the fine and it just seems that they could be more vigilant on that. So I guess, yeah, but I know everyone's afraid to, what I like to say is how, I would like to go up and just say, you must be really rich. You can afford to run your car for so long.
I think the education part of it would be better to press first before like giving people like fines and
Yeah,
some people might just not know. And also like looking into like maybe how long, because like I can't imagine letting your car run for 10 minutes, like even that's like, it's like a lot. It's a lot.
yeah. And and this auto car strike thing is a big issue. Okay, so do you want us to write a letter to the police or are you okay with checking in on that?
It's up to you. What do you want me to say?
Well, you said you were gonna check on it, that's.
Yeah.
I know you could just, we write letters, but we could call.
Is the ask to,
The ask would be.
Yeah, the reason I
Enforcement.
thought to ask it is because you said you don't, you don't think that, that any tickets have actually been given, but do we know that?
oh, no, I don't know that. I
Okay.
do not know that.
Um,
And I guess there's no reason why I would know that. It's not like somebody reports to me. how
Yeah,
many
it
tickets.
just seems like a missed
And
opportunity.
maybe I'm being cynical, but I would just guess that that is the case.
Okay, yeah,
And the other thing is I've talked to people that, I said, well, you could report them because you're their neighbor. And then they, well, yeah, but then they know I reported them.
Yeah.
Right? And because this auto car start thing is a big issue. And so people are afraid, but the police, it can be, I don't know if it can it be anonymous?
Yeah, there's a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
yes,
can
so,
say something to the.
okay, all right. And the one where they're, leaving their car running and just going into the store and then they come back 10 minutes later. I mean, I can get a parking ticket in that time on the street. Okay, thank you. So that was a really long discussion that I didn't think we would be
Can I just
having.
make a quick comment? If there was a rash of, if there was a bunch of tickets given, then neighbors could be the helpful neighbor saying, hey, you wanna be careful, you could get a ticket, people got tickets for that. So you could put it in that light and
Mhm.
remember people that way.
It's true.
So did this guy want to join the CAC? Or person, I'm sorry. That person. Okay, climate smart.
Okay. I think the highlight of the meeting was Ellie Gartenstein presenting on ChargePoint EV municipal charging stations. Gee, there was a lot of data.
Yeah, you don't need to go over it all.
Right, they would, so they have ChargePoint, which collects the data, and I'll present it on text, a long, short story of that. There was some discussion on bike shares again. And I'm not sure where the status is, this is already a few weeks ago when we had this meeting.
So the council there's a subcommittee of folks that are drafting legislation to adopt a bike share legislation. But it hasn't gotten to the council yet.
Okay, so it's just in the planning stage.
Yes.
Okay. Julie gave us a report on a lot of what was discussed here in terms of the infrastructure. Additionally, there was a discussion on municipal solar installations and NYSERDA Clean Energy Community Awards, which Kingston is eligible for some significant amounts of money under the program due to actions we've taken previously as a city. And again, that's a long list of sites and where it all is.
But would they be on top of buildings?
Yes. Although two of them were looking at our ground.
Yeah, right, mostly on rooftops. And Roberto did not bring his green hydrogen powered toy vehicle. So we're gonna hold that over for another session.
I would just like to say that, if as a member, if you would just bring up, I know you're gonna bring up the item and say if they were coordinating with those on some action.
Or at Climate Smart, yeah.
Okay,
And I think, Anthony, you're gonna be on Climate Smart? Yeah, okay, so.
oh, great.
Yeah.
Welcome, Anthony. All right. NICEAG.
So the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions, the annual conference is being held in the Tug Hill Plateau, September 18th to 20th. It is going to be hybrid event in that on Wednesday, the 18th, it's actually all going to be virtual on the Gather Town platform. And it'll be sessions all day like it was this past year. And then on the 19th to 20th, it's going to be field trips in the Tug Hill Plateau.
where is that?
It is between the Adirondacks and Lake Ontario,
Oh,
north
okay.
of like Rochester,
Wow.
Syracuse. very far,
straight 81,
yes,
straight north.
yes. And they're very excited to be hosting, the presentations and everything are still very early in the planning. There was talk for a little bit about the conference being hosted in in Ulster County this year, but that's not happening. It's absolutely going to be in the Tug Hill area. And Ulster County has not committed unless did you go to EMC? Are you going to EMC?
I wasn't there.
Okay, and I encourage them to participate in the planning for this year's conference, but so far nobody has, so. Either way, registration is not open yet, say the date did go out recently. If you didn't get it, I can circulate it, but this is the statewide conference of all CACs like this.
Okay, so I have two things. The Tug Hill is a really kind of interesting place to visit, so if you want to take a vacation up there while we were up there, that would be interesting. But I also wanted to say that the dues are due for this.
I paid her.
And Julie paid, but that brings up the next thing, is that we don't have a budget at all. And every summer, when the common council decides on the budget, we always never ask, forget to ask, whatever. So when can we ask for a budget?
You would need to submit a request to the mayor before August.
Before August, so we should put
And
it,
actually, it wouldn't be a request to the mayor, it would be a request to me. I would then request to my department to put it in my budget. Which is what Climate Smart did this year. They had 1,000 in their budget.
1,000. Man, let's ask for 1,500.
And so far I've spent 0, just to be clear.
So, but the thing is like, we could have a little money for printing or for plants or for a canopy,
Attending the conference.
attending a conference, those kind of things.
So what will need to happen is that it would need to be an articulation of how the monies would be spent, how much money. And this commission, the council would need to vote on that, get it to me before August.
Which council?
This,
This council, yeah. Before August. Okay. Okay. So the Ulster County Environment, oh, and you've already paid that and it just comes out of your budget,
Correct.
for the next year.
Yep.
Okay. The Ulster County Environmental Management Council, we don't have a liaison. I don't mind attending and being the liaison. I just, like, something came up at the last minute, so I couldn't attend. It's the last Wednesday. They have been meeting in Kingston at sunny Ulster River, because they used to meet in Stone Ridge, so it's so much easier here for us. So is anyone else interested in attending?
so it's a legislatively appointed position.
Right. So we have to, the county legislature has to.
Yes. But typically it would be, like right now, Ted is officially appointed by the Ulster
Right,
County.
and he has to resign.
He has to resign to them.
Yeah.
Until he does that, they're not gonna appoint someone else. When he does that, they're going to want to appoint someone else.
Yeah, but you can be also like, you can be an at-large member, like, Bill Moore is an at-large. But Ted's our representative,
Right.
so right, so I'll talk to Ted about that. And it's also on Zoom, but they've had terrible, they're trying to improve their mics and everything, because it's really hard to understand anything, so hopefully that's getting better. So I'll keep thinking about it, but the other problem is that public safety meets at the same time. And that's why if public safety is here and it's at SUNY Ulster, that's okay, I can do that. But I can't drive to Stone Ridge. And which means, Yeah, I just get alternation. I can also attend public safety by Zoom, but I like to just come in. So, okay, so I'll keep thinking of it. And as I said, I missed it. So I don't know if Ulster County EMC has brought up, talked about the asphalt plant. I don't know, if they covered anything. Okay, tree commission. I also went to that tonight, and we do need a new member for the tree commission. It meets right before this one. And, so in terms of what they discussed tonight was that were relevant to us, I think, is that, first of all, they look at very specific trees and decide whether it can be cut down, trimmed, whatever. But also I felt like they weren't aware of the fact that we have a goal of 1,000 trees
By 2030.
by 2030, to plant 1,000 trees, just 1,000 trees. And that it can be in front yards, backyards, on the street, in city property, anywhere, it's 1,000. And then that, if they, so I'm gonna, the next time I'm gonna just go to the tree commission and remind them of those things. And then also, there's very specific, they didn't seem to bring up the fact that there's very specific tree places where there used to be trees, where there aren't, that are mapped, that a tree could go in. And that just needs to be, I didn't feel like they brought that up. And that's the whole tree plan for the city.
By the way, it isn't live yet, although it is in draft
Yeah.
form, that on Engage Kingston, there is going to be, at any time, because it's ready to go live, it just isn't yet, a tree tracker page, which has actually mapped out all of the trees, I shouldn't say mapped, it is, charting the trees that have been planted since the open space plan pledge was made for 1,000 trees. And where they were, so not by map style, but like Pine Grove Avenue project had X number, Broadway had X number, Franklin Street project had X number, Henry Street. Personal, private residents that planted street trees in 22, private residents that planted them in 23. And we're a third of the way there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great.
And in 24, this year, there's over 150 that are already
Yeah.
projected. 150 at Dietz alone.
And that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because,
it's not live yet, but
yes, and like the library is giving out free trees and, so conceivably they could report to Engage Kingston.
yes.
And when you think about 1,000 trees in 15 years or whatever, well, I guess in 10 years, that doesn't seem that much, but there really is almost no funding, or has in the past been almost no funding for planting trees. And even like the Arbor Day trees comes from a fund called the Memorial Tree Fund. Lake City. So anyway, so thanks for reporting that. And I don't know if I'm going to be the official tree commission person, but if it's meeting right now, right before this one, it's not that hard to get here and out before for me. I mean, you're gonna yeah, so anyway, yes, that's really, I'm really glad for you to put that tree tracker. That's great.
Yeah.
So, do we have to prove that we did it? Planted a tree?
What do you mean? Can someone just?
Do we have to show a picture? Do we have to show in 5 years that it worked?
No, and the resident planted ones are not people that said, hey, I planted a tree, it's by us looking at dig safe.
Oh, cool.
People have to call in to dig safe when they plant or dig a hole. And so it's just us going through dig safe and saying, how many people called in tree plantings? in these years, and how many of them were technically street trees. So this doesn't include trees that people planted in their backyards,
It didn't,
does not.
but they can,
It will not include trees that people planted in their backyard,
oh, even in tree tracker?
even in tree tracker, just street trees.
Oh,
Which
okay,
means that we will have planted more than 1,000 trees, but there will be 1,000 on the street.
oh, cool, all right, great. That's what I was wondering, so if the library gives away trees.
We can't say then that many trees were planted.
Yeah, okay. All right, great, well, that's very great. Okay, anything else, or can we adjourn?
I just want to make sure that there's going to be quorum on the 9th, and is there a concern about this backing up to the tree commission meeting time? Because if there is, we might want to move the meeting until 6:15, or at least I should put on the website, by the way, the meeting's not going to start till later, because there's back-to-back meetings. I don't know, maybe this was an anomaly this time.
Are they continuing to meet at that time? Because,
Last time I was here, like at the overlap, and they were just on their way out, like as soon as people were coming in.
mhm,
This time they all acknowledged that, all right, at 6 o'clock, there's, someone else coming in. Nobody had come in, so they just kind
oh, we were waiting outside.
Yeah, but the problem is like, if they go till 6, we're not starting our meeting at 6. Even if we
Okay,
walk
so
in the
let's
door at
consider this.
6:01, I'm not getting it till
The
6:10.
reason we started at 6 was because someone else, it worked out better for them, we used to meet at 6.
they have like people like that come in with, like that one person that with, a whole report on their tree, like if they get a couple of those, it might take,
Yeah, well, they used to meet at 3:30, which was
Yeah.
impossible for other people to go because it was so early.
Yeah, I mean, even if, at the very least, there's no logical way for them to have a 5 to 6 meeting and us to have a 6 o'clock
Yeah.
meeting, that just isn't a thing. So at the very least, we either need to acknowledge and say on the website, it doesn't actually start till 6:15, or start it at 6:15.
Does anyone have a problem?
Or
meeting
move
at
or
6:15?
move over to conference room 2,
Right, but conference room 2 is already taken.
it was taken today,
Today. Yeah,
but if I reserved in advance, it wouldn't be.
okay, so 6 o'clock or 6:30 or a different meeting.
Or 6:15.
Just,
Preferably not 6:30, would that mean we have to go later?
Or go till 8:30.
So preferably not that.
All right, let's do conference room 2.
Okay.
Okay. Get them to go to conference room 2.
I will be here on the 9th, yes, about.
All right, is there anyone that's not going to be here on the 9th?
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Okay, you're gonna talk to Anita about a letter of resolution.
Yeah, so some of the next steps is Anita and Ted. And finish the letter for helium, think about anti-idling.
And I'll send you some info on the.
Yeah, on noise.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
We need to take a second.
Second. You can second.
I think.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for being here.